What's up, guys? We are back with Week 3 Monday Night Football action. We're going to dive in, break down both games tonight, see what kind of value we can find on the side and on the total, and we're going to do a deep dive on the player props for both games and also cover this short MLB slate. So buckle up, guys. We have a great video for you today. On Sunday, things went almost as well as they possibly could have, guys. We went 5-1 on the day. Got things started off with a very lucky underplay on that Giants-Cleveland game. Under 38.5 was good thanks to Singletary sliding there at the 1-yard line and not taking it in for a touchdown. Very smart play by him to A, win us our bet, and B, make sure the Giants got the win there. The Packers +3, that was good as gold. They won that game 30-14. The Packers continue to be undervalued, and Will Levis continues to be a disaster out there. We had the Steelers -2.5. That was a 20-10 win there. Dominant defense from the Steelers once again, and Fields was very good in that game. So things continue to look up for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Carolina +6. A lot of heat in the comments for that one, guys, and it came through. The 36-22 win for Carolina. Andy Dalton came out and was a monster out there, and the Carolina running game was very, very good. So they got the comfortable win there. We had Baltimore -1. They came out, jumped out to a big lead. Looked like they were going to just roll to a win there, but ended up winning only by a field goal. The running game was dominant, but they really tried to give that thing away late. Our only loss of the day, guys. We had Arizona +3. That was a 20-13 loss. Couldn't come up with enough offense. The defense, well, they kind of got screwed over there on that missed call that should have been an interception returned for a touchdown, but instead it got called to delay a game when it was in fact not a delay of game. Kind of sucks that wasn't reviewable. That could have really turned the tide in that game. But 5-1 on the day. We will certainly take that, guys. Let's get into it here. If you want to win all of your bets today, guys, hit that like button. It's good luck and shows support for the channel and all the work we're putting in here every single day. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our daily content. You can now also sign up for a channel membership by clicking the little join button right below the video. Members get exclusive early access to all NFL and college football videos and get their names up on the screen just like right now. I really appreciate the support from all of you. Seeing that badge next to your comments absolutely warms my heart. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there for every major sport, currently covering Major League Baseball, NCAA football, UFC, and the NFL. NHL is coming up soon, guys. Get in there for an early sale on the hockey memberships. This is one of the best times of the year to be in the mix. We've got so many sports going on right now, guys. Click the link in the description if you're interested in signing up, and also to join our free email list to get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox, and to track our new $100,000 to $10,000 challenge, which is going on right now. I think we're 3 bets in the green so far, so things are ramping up. Some pretty serious money going down on those bets. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today for yourselves, and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day, guys. We've got the Jacksonville Jaguars going on the road to take on the Buffalo Bills in Game 1 Monday Night Football action. Jacksonville comes into this game still looking for their first win of the season, guys. After absolutely giving one away in Week 1 there against the Dolphins, they ended up losing 18-13 against the Browns. Yeah, that game was actually a little bit closer than the final score would indicate, but man, we did not see great stuff from Trevor Lawrence. He completed 14 of 30 passes for 220 yards. No touchdowns, at least no interceptions, but he got sacked 4 times. Yeah, the running game didn't really get going that well. I mean, Lawrence actually had the longest run for the team with a 33-yard scamper, so that kind of tells you where the running game was at for that one. And yeah, the receiving game, I mean, it was fine. Brian Thomas Jr. looked good out there, but yeah, just not a lot of great things to report there for the Jaguars on offense, and just not a lot of positives to report for them on offense so far this season. It's been a little bit rough out there. We haven't been seeing what we would hope to see from them, and yeah, it's just been a little bit rough. Not a lot of positives to say. Trevor Lawrence having a rough time out there, and the defense, while it was okay against the Browns, they had a little bit of trouble there with Deshaun Watson. He was able to run around a little bit, make some throws on the run, but they only gave up 186 yards passing in that game and 125 yards on the ground, so definitely not a disaster. They didn't generate a turnover in that game, so that's not great, but overall, definitely not the defense's fault that they lost there in Week 2. In terms of the injury situation for the Jaguars, guys, we've got Evan Ingram out. This tight end has been a dead spot for the Jaguars this season. They really needed him to get back out there to give them a chance to find some more production. The offensive line and the defense are fully healthy for this game, which is obviously a very big deal for Jacksonville, but are they going to be able to turn it around here? We'll have to wait and see. I mean, right now, things are looking a bit problematic. They only have a 23% chance, according to the statistics here, of making the playoffs. Lawrence, not great in the red zone. Yeah, in the quick passing game, he is looking terrible. Last in the league in the short passes and 28th in expected points in the red zone. And the Jaguars are 29th in the National Football League in expected points in the red zone so far this season. So very, very rough start. We'll see if they can turn it around here. Things are looking up a little bit as they're pretty much healthy for this game, but obviously missing Evan Ingram still is not great. Their opponent in this game, the Buffalo Bills, they've gotten off to a decent start to their year, guys. 2-0 in the season. Win over the Cardinals in week 1. It looks decent still, maybe not quite as good after they lost to the Lions, but still a decent win there. And yeah, they followed that up with a blowout win at Miami and a 31-10 win, although that was a little bit of a weird one with Tua getting hurt and everything going on with that game. But in that win over the Dolphins, we saw Josh Allen really not have to do too much through the air. He did pass for a touchdown and 139 yards, but he wasn't sacked, something that's not that crazy for him. He didn't even have to run the ball very much either, so a pretty low effort win there for Allen. It has to feel good for Bills fans to see him be able to win a game without being, fully in the crossfires for the entire game. It feels like the dude definitely puts his body on the line. We saw the running game look very good in that one. James Cook, 2 touchdowns, 78 yards, only 11 carries to get those numbers, so that's very good stuff. And the receiving game looked fine in the chances that they got, but the real thing that definitely has to make Bills fans and the franchise in general feel pretty great is how good the offense was. I mean, knocking Tua out of that game, 3 interceptions, 2 sacks in the game. Yeah, they didn't force any turnovers, any fumbles, but 3 picks in one game. Very, very good stuff. They did struggle a little bit against the run, which is definitely a concern, something they've been struggling with this season. So that's definitely a thing we'll be taking into account when it comes time to pick a side on this game or look at props. But yeah, other than that, the Bills have to be feeling pretty good right now. The offense comes into this game fully healthy, so that's obviously amazing. On defense, they're going to be missing Terrell Bernard, their middle linebacker, and a member of the secondary, Teron Johnson's going to be out as well. So yeah, not at full strength there on defense, which could definitely be something of a concern for them in this game, but I'm not necessarily in panic mode. Looking at the weather for this game, guys, the temps are going to be in the low 60s, something like that, so nothing crazy there. We've got a slight chance of rain showers throughout the entire game, so I think we'll see at least some moisture out there. I think that could make maybe a little bit of, ball security a problem. And we've got significant winds in this game, 14-mile-an-hour winds, not quite like crazy or anything like that, but I think it's enough to mess with the long kicks that are becoming so commonplace in the NFL right now, and maybe enough to mess with the deep balls in the passing game, but we're not seeing too many of those at the moment either. So we'll see what effect the weather has. I'm not expecting it to be a huge deal. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we've got the Bills at -5.5. We've got an over-under of 45.5 in this game. We're seeing some interesting trends here for the Jaguars. I mean, the pros definitely love the Jaguars here. It should be close to 4, and the pros are hoping that by Sunday it can get to 5.5 or 6. It doesn't look like it's going to get to 6, but that 5.5 definitely out there. Doug Peterson is 13-3 against the spread when playing night games, so that's interesting, and 3-1 against the spread in that situation with Trevor Lawrence. So a couple of interesting things there on the side of Jacksonville. On the side of the Bills, we've got public money coming in on Buffalo, so that's something to definitely take into consideration. We usually don't want to be on the same side as the public. The Bills also have been a fairly lucky team this year, and Jacksonville's been fairly unlucky. This is a classic letdown spot for Buffalo coming off of that blowout win they had last week, and their defense, I think, is a little bit overrated coming into this game and, just coming into the season in general, and now they're a bit banged up. Yeah, Josh Allen has closed as a favorite of 4 points or more 26 times over the last 3 seasons, and the Bills are 8-17-1 in those games against the spread. So definitely concerning stuff there, guys. We're going to be leaning towards the Jacksonville Jaguars plus 5.5. If it gets to 6, great. I don't think it will. I think 5.5 is just fine. So going to be leaning towards Jacksonville and the points in this game for sure in terms of a side. I think they'll at least keep this thing close, and who knows, weirder things have happened. They could have a chance to steal the game there down the stretch. In terms of the over-under, I'm going to be leaning slightly towards the under in this game. First of all, it's a primetime game, so I'm always going to be instinctively looking towards that under. Primetime unders have been very, very good historically. And also, I think this is a game that's going to feature a lot of attempts to run the ball. Obviously, the Bills are a team that's very, very focused on running. And with what we've been seeing from Trevor Lawrence recently, it doesn't seem like Jacksonville is that interested in passing the ball either. So go ahead and give me the under in this one. But my main lean is going to be on the Jaguars at plus 5.5 for this game. Next up, guys, we're going to take a look at some props here in this game. First up, we've got Jacksonville to punt on their first drive at -110. I don't think that's necessarily a lock, but I think at that price it's fairly reasonable. I don't think we're going to see either team go nuts on offense, so expecting a punt from Jacksonville in the first drive seems relatively reasonable. I also like some player props in this game. I think Etienne at 60 or more rushing yards being at +145. That one's definitely going in the pinned comment. That's probably my favorite prop in this game. And right alongside that, Etienne to have a touchdown in this game, 1+ touchdown is -105. I think that's also extremely reasonable. I think there's a very good chance he gets into the end zone in this game. Like I was saying, guys, that Bills run defense, not very good, one of the lower rated run defensive teams in the National Football League. So I think that the Jaguars should definitely be able to run the ball against them in this one. I also think taking Josh Allen at, one or more touchdowns at -125. The dude loves to run it in. He loves to vulture those touchdowns at the goal line, just take it in there himself. So I think that's some very good value also, but definitely my favorite one in this game is going to, or maybe my favorite two in this game, Etienne at 60 or more rushing yards at +145 seems like a fantastic price, and I also like him to score a touchdown in this game. Next up, guys, we're looking at game 2 of this Monday Night Football slate. Pretty fun to have 2 games out there to bet on a Monday night. We've got the Washington Commanders going on the road to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Commanders come into this game looking for their second win of the season in their third game, guys. They lost in week 1 against Tampa Bay. Didn't look amazing. I would say they didn't look horrible out there, but losing 37-20 isn't the best look, obviously. They followed that up with a pretty lucky win there last week against the Giants. They won 21-18 in a game that the Giants probably would have won if they would have had a kicker available for that game. Generally speaking, though, we're not hating what we're seeing from Washington here. Jaden Daniels definitely has plenty of potential, guys. We're worried about his durability a little bit. This is not a guy that's strays away from getting and taking and delivering big hits, but in his game against the Giants, 23 of 29, so very good with his arm, 226 yards. He was sacked 5 times, so that's something that definitely needs to get cleaned up, but he ran the ball for 44 yards on 10 attempts. We also saw the running game look amazing for Washington in this one. Brian Robinson Jr., 17 carries, 133 yards in that game. It is obviously a big concern that Washington wasn't able to get into the end zone in that game, so obviously we don't love that, but I do think that's something that they can clean up a little bit, and it was also nice to see Zach Ertz catching some passes, 62 yards, 4 receptions. Obviously not an insane day, but definitely something to build on if they could have him be a major weapon there in the passing game. Obviously that would just be a fantastic thing there for the Commanders. Yeah, guys, pretty excited with what we're seeing from this offense, generally speaking. My big concern, though, is Daniels. He needs to learn. Running the ball can be cool. Just go ahead and do it, but at the end of the run or when you know you're about to get hit, get on the ground. There is no bonus for taking big hits in the NFL. In terms of their defense, the Commanders come into this game. I mean, they looked good against the Giants in week 2 there. Giving up 2 passing touchdowns to Daniel Jones might not be the best look. They weren't amazing in the running game, but they didn't really let anybody go nuts in that one, except for Malik Neighbors, who is going to go nuts against a lot of teams. He is, looking great out there, looking very good. So generally speaking, we're not in love with this defense, but I don't think it's horrible. I don't think it's the end of the world kind of defense. So we'll see what they can do here going up against a Cincinnati Bengals team who comes into this one still looking for their first win of the season. They're 0-2 on the year. That terrible loss there in week 1 against New England. Looking at their injury report in this one, guys, the Commanders come into this game fully healthy on offense, only missing 1 guy on defense. So yeah, very good stuff. I mean, having Farrell out is not ideal, but the defensive line isn't going to miss him too bad, I don't think. So generally speaking, I think this Washington team is in pretty good shape in terms of injury news. So we'll see what they can do here going up against a Bengals team who comes into this game still looking for their first win of the season, rolling into week 3 here. It's been a rough start to the year. The Bengals lost 16-10 in a very disappointing upset there against New England in week 1. And then in week 2, they kind of, I'm not going to say they got robbed, but lost a game they definitely could have won there against the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, a team that everybody would like to beat. Joe Burrow looked great last week. He got sacked 3 times, but passed for 2 touchdowns, 258 yards. We didn't see any more of that. It looking like his wrist was going to explode or fall off, or like he was in excruciating pain the entire time. So very good news to see that Burrow is probably actually truly healthy. There was a lot of wild conspiracy theories running rampant through the NFL streets last week about how he was done for, not going to be able to throw the ball, so on and so forth. Seems like those were unfounded. Looks like Burrow's going to be absolutely fine out there. So that's good to see. Something that's a little bit disturbing to see was how bad the running game there was for Cincinnati against the Chiefs. Although the Chiefs a pretty solid defense, so I definitely think Cincinnati is going to be capable of running the ball against the Commanders. We'll see how many rushing attempts they actually get in this game. Not going to be holding my breath here for the Bengals to be trying very aggressively to establish the run, but hey, definitely possible. In the passing game, we saw Gesicki really get going. That was pretty nice. We really need to see Jamar Chase and, just generally speaking, this dynamic Bengals offense that we've seen from seasons past just has not been online yet. So we'll see how things go this week. Definitely reason for concern, but definitely reason for optimism as well after a pretty solid offensive week. Last week, the defense forced 2 interceptions, 2 sacks against Mahomes. That's very, very solid. They also forced a fumble, and you get 3 turnovers as a defense, and your team still loses the game. That's pretty rough. The Bengals had a really, really hard time stopping the run, and that's a big, big problem for them in this one. Obviously, if you can't stop Pacheco, are you really going to be able to stop the Washington running game? And if you can't stop Mahomes from running the ball, are you really going to stop Jaden Daniels from running the ball? So, yeah, worrisome things there in this specific matchup for the Cincinnati defense. So maybe a reason for concern. And they had a hard time stopping the run against the Patriots in week 1 as well. So this definitely is going to be a situation where we're going to be expecting the Commanders to try and run the ball. And will the Bengals be able to stop it? We're going to have to wait and see. In terms of injury news here for the Bengals, guys, they come into this game fully healthy on offense. So that has to be a big, big relief. But on the defensive side of the ball, it is a different story. They're pretty banged up right now. Sheldon Rankins and BJ Hill both likely out for this game. Hill's technically doubtful. Rankins is confirmed out, but I'll be pretty surprised if we see Hill playing this game. Von Bell is questionable, and if he can't go, that's kind of a big deal for this secondary, although I don't think the secondary is the biggest problem in this game. The biggest problem is going to be the Bengals trying to stop the run, and yeah, that's not something they've been able to do so far this season. Looking at the weather for this game, the temperature is fine, somewhere in the low 70s, but probably going to be raining at some point during the entire game, so we could see some effects here from the wind and the rain. It's not going to be super windy, but I do think just it being damp in general out there could affect ball security, could affect the passing game somewhat as well. I don't think it's going to be a huge deal, but definitely something you want to at least slightly take into account here. And if it's a little bit wet, a little bit messy out there, that is going to incentivize these two teams even more to try to establish the run, something Washington is very interested in doing and something the Bengals defense has to be very, very worried about. So guys, looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Bengals at 7.5 point favorites. We've got an over-under of 47 in this game. Guys, I'm leaning here pretty hard towards the Commanders at plus 7.5. Despite the fact they're on the road in this one, I like their chances of keeping this game very, very close, thanks in large part to their ability to run the ball and the ability of Jaden Daniels to get work done there out of the shotgun, out of whatever formation. This dude can find some space and make things happen. Could he get hurt in the first series of this game? Yes, he definitely could, but so far so good. He's stayed healthy, and even if he does go down, they have a very solid running game to fall back on. So generally speaking, guys, I think the Commanders at 7.5 is a very good value in this game, and from hearing that, I'm sure you're not going to be too surprised to hear that I'm also leaning towards the under. Once again, guys, primetime under, always reasonable to lean towards the under, but with the Commanders definitely going to be looking to run the ball a lot, and I would think the Bengals would be wanting to get back to the running game at least a little bit. I'm not seeing the dynamic Bengals offense that I've seen in the past, so offense being at a premium certainly makes sense to me. I think we'll see under 47 points in this game pretty comfortably. So those are my two leans on the side and on the over-under in this one. In terms of player props for this game, we've got some more interesting ones. One of the more exciting ones that you could go for here, there are a couple very good ones actually. We've got Washington to score on their first drive at plus 170. I think that's very, very reasonable. I think they're going to run the ball. I think they could easily get into field goal range or something like that. There's not a lot of wind in this game, so field goal range should be pretty deep. We are a little bit worried about it, raining and stuff like that, but it's not supposed to be a heavy rain, so I think taking Washington to score on their first drive at plus 170, very, very reasonable. I also like the long odds here on Jaden Daniels to score a touchdown. It's plus 400, so 4-1 on that bet seems extremely reasonable to me. I think a very good chance here that we see him punch one in, and yeah, I'm 4-1 odds. Can't turn your nose up at that. That looks very reasonable. We've also got Gesicki in the receiving game, guys. 30 plus receiving yards at plus 105. Yeah, last week, guys, he caught 7 passes for 91 yards. I don't think we're going to see Joe Burrow just abandon throwing the ball to him. He had tons of success last week against the Chiefs. I think he's he's going to be looking for something similar in this one. And I mean, 2 decent passes, 3 decent passes easily is going to get you to those 30 yards and cash that plus 105 bet for you. So that one seems very reasonable. It's got a good chance to end up in the pinned comment. We've also got Jaden Daniels here at 60 or more rushing yards at plus 155. That one feels like a slight long, just a little bit more of a long shot to me. I don't think it's going to end up in the pinned comment, but I think it's one you definitely want to take into consideration. I think the odds of him running the ball well against this Bengals defense is definitely possible. I mean, Mahomes, somebody who doesn't really want to run too much in the regular season, put up 29 yards on 4 carries against the Bengals last week, and I think Jaden Daniels at this point definitely, probably a more likely and more willing runner right now than Patrick Mahomes. So that's my logic behind that one. I think it's got a good chance, but yeah, guys, Robinson at 60 plus rushing yards at plus 110 is certainly going into the pin comment. That's probably my favorite prop from this game. That or Gesicki in the receiving yards. I think we're going to see Robinson have a very, very good game. I mean, Brian Robinson Jr., 17 carries, 133 yards last week. We really think he's not going to get over 60 rushing yards here against the Bengals. I think it's going to happen for sure, guys. I think that's a very, very good spot. So overall, guys, that's all we've got for the 2 Monday Night Football games. We're going to go ahead now and switch over to the MLB slate. We've only got 4 games on this Monday MLB slate, so I thought I'd go ahead and cover them for you guys in this video. Hey guys, jumping in here with a quick ad break. First of all, this is a great time to sign up at stumpthespread.com. Signing up for a premium membership gets you access to our entire team of cappers covering MLB, NCAA football, UFC, and the NFL. If you just want to test out the service, a great way to do that is by joining our free email list, which will get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and become a channel member for early access to all of our NCAA football and NFL videos. Now guys, back to the games. Doesn't hurt at all to get that out there, and I see all of you guys down there in the comments asking me, hey, what are your MLB leans for today? So we're not going to leave you hanging on this one, guys. We are going to be in there giving you all the info that we have. First up, guys, on the MLB slate, we've got the Chicago Cubs going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. The Cubs come into this game, they are officially eliminated from playoff contention this year. So yeah, a rough end of the season for the Cubs. Obviously did not have the best time out there. Pretty disappointing to end the year this way, but looks like they're going to finish the season off above 500 if they can close things out well here. They did just win 3 out of 4 against the Washington Nationals. They're going to be giving the ball to Nate Pearson in this game. Definitely looking like a bullpen start situation for the Cubs out there. His last outing was out of the bullpen. He gave up 2 hits to the Nationals in 2/3 of an inning's work, so not great there. Over the course of the year, the Cubs put up a 3.80 bullpen ERA, so they're not a terrible bullpen team, but them running out a full bullpen start in this one, it does leave me a little bit concerned. So we'll see what happens out there. Nate Pearson, not somebody I expect to go super deep into a game, but he's 28 years old. He maybe is capable of doing that. We'll see what happens. Generally speaking, in terms of the Cubs offense, they've been hitting the ball okay, I guess, coming into this series. I mean, 5, 1, 3, 7, and 3 runs over their last few games. Offense has been pretty middle of the road here for the Cubs this season. I mean, they're 16th in the majors in batting average, 13th in runs scored. So we'll see what they can do here down the stretch. In the last few games of the year, I'm not really sure where we're going to see the motivation level be at for the Cubs in this game. But yeah, there's some young guys out there with stuff to play for, and guys want to finish out the year strong. So I think we'll see them, at least putting in the effort out there. But how much will the effort matter here going up against the Phillies, who come into this game not playing their best ball of the year, guys? They are in very, very good shape out there. Don't get me wrong. They're currently sitting in first place in the NL East with a 5-game cushion over the Mets. But yeah, not exactly killing it here down the stretch, which is a bit concerning. This is a team that definitely wants to go into the playoffs on a high note. And right now, I mean, while they have clinched a playoff berth, I don't think it's time to be taking your foot off the gas if you're the Phillies. They're going to be hitting the ball to Aaron Nola, who's 12-8 on the year with a 3.54 ERA. His last start, he was absolutely lights out against the Milwaukee Brewers. It was at Milwaukee. He went 7 innings, gave up 3 hits, only a single earned run while striking out 9 in that game. A nice bounce back from a very rough start against the Mets. Unfortunately for him, we saw the Phillies come up with only 1 run of offense and eventually lose that game to Milwaukee 2-1. So not what they're looking for there, but very good stuff from Aaron Nola. Nothing bad to say about him there, and very little bad for me to say about this Phillies bullpen down the stretch, guys. Over the last 20 or so games, they've really gotten their act together. A 3.88 bullpen ERA. While it doesn't have them among the the MLB leaders, definitely very reasonable stuff. I don't think we're going to see this bullpen be horrible in the playoffs or horrible here in the last few games of the season as they try and finish things off. So expecting decent stuff from the pen. Very, very good stuff from the starter in this one. The question is, what are we going to get from this offense? They've sort of 1, 3, 3, 12, 6, and 1 run over their last few games. We haven't had any crazy injuries down the stretch, so this is pretty much the full strength Phillies right now. So I'm expecting them to hit the ball well. I mean, over the course of the year, they've been one of the better offensive teams in the majors. Right now, they're sitting at 4th in the majors in runs scored, 4th in batting average, batting .258 as a team. They're 5th in on-base percentage, and they get to take an entire game's worth of at-bats off of the Cubs bullpen. Seems like a pretty good situation if you ask me. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Cubs at plus 104, the Phillies at minus 122. We've got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. The Cubs are 38-40 on the road. The Phillies are an MLB best 52-25 at home. Yeah, guys, that's the best home record in the majors. I'm definitely leaning towards the Phillies. Minus 122 in this one. It feels like a little bit of a trap, but guys, if it is, we're going to go ahead and fall into that trap. I think the Phillies are in great shape to win this game at a very reasonable price playing at home. Like, they're just going to want to get a couple more wins. They can salt this thing all the way away. In terms of the over-under, we've got the Cubs as an over team on the road, the Phillies as an under team at home. We've got an over-under of only 7.5 in this game. I think you would probably want to side just slightly towards the over in this spot. I'm not super interested in this over-under at all, but if you're begging me for an over-under play, I'm leaning a little bit towards the over. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Boston Red Sox going on the road to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. The Red Sox come into this game winners of their last 2 in a row, but at 78-78 on the year. This has not been the season that the Red Sox had imagined, guys. Technically, at time of recording, they are not eliminated from the playoffs, but they are pretty much out of it. They're going to be looking to keep their hopes alive here with a win, though, for sure. They're giving the ball to Tanner Houck, who's 8-10 on the year with a 3.21 ERA. He's been pretty much a bright spot for the Red Sox this year. I mean, his last start, he only went 4 innings against Tampa Bay, but gave up 1 earned run over those 4 innings, struck out 4. It was a 2-1 win for Boston, but yeah, not going super deep into that game back on the 18th. So we'll see how deep he can go into this game, going up against a team like Toronto that he's faced a couple of times back in June with mediocre results. I mean, 6 2/3, 5 2/3, and he gave up 2 earned runs in each of those games, but 3 runs total in each of those games. Both were wins for Boston, but it wasn't really his fault. He definitely was giving up some very hittable balls up there and hasn't necessarily been throwing it great over his last few games. I mean, 4 runs over 5 innings against the Mets doesn't really fill me with tons of confidence. He did have a very good start back on the 30th against Detroit, so I guess that's a positive, but he got shelled by Arizona. Just not a guy that I have tons of faith in. So we'll see what he looks like in this game. We'll also see what that Boston bullpen does. I mean, they've been horrible down the stretch. 4.48 bullpen ERA has them one of the 5 or 6 worst bullpens in Major League Baseball this season, so that's obviously not a great look. The offense seems like it might be coming alive a little bit here, scoring 9 and 8 runs respectively over their last 2 games there against the Twins, but it might be a little bit too little too late. This was a very good offense at some points this season. I mean, they're tied for 10th in the majors in runs scored, and they're 6th in the majors in batting average, but they have not had a fantastic time here down the stretch this season. The offense falling off and the bullpen being so bad are really the reasons it's extremely likely we see the Red Sox miss the postseason. Looking at their opponent in this game, they're taking on the Toronto Blue Jays, who come into this one losers of their last 3 in a row and 5 of their last 6 overall. They're 73-83 on the year, not going to be in the playoffs this season. Not really something that was looking likely for them, even from the very, very early goings. They're giving the ball to Chris Bassett in this game. He's 10-13 on the year with a 4.16 ERA. His last start was against the Texas Rangers. He got shelled out there. Not very many of the runs were earned, but he gave up 7 total runs on 6 hits over 3 2/3 innings in a 13-8 loss. So that's pretty weak stuff. He did face Boston back on the 28th and was very good. 6 2/3 innings, 5 hits, only a single earned run allowed. So he'll be trying to run that back against a team that, he has had very good success against, at least in his last couple of starts against them. He was very good against them in June as well. So expecting good stuff from Bassett in this game. What am I expecting from that Toronto bullpen? Well, guys, I'm going to be real honest. I expect them to be bad. A 4.74 bullpen ERA over the course of the season has them 3rd worst in the major leagues. Not a bullpen that you've been able to depend on at all this season, and the bats haven't been there either, guys. I mean, 3, 2, 0, 4, and 0 runs over their last few. Seems like they're pretty much packed in. This team has given up on this season, which, I mean, they're eliminated, so I can't blame them too much. They're 20th in the majors in runs scored this season, 20th in the majors in slugging percentage this season. Really, the only guy on this roster that should scare anyone is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So looking at the numbers for this one, it's basically a coin flip according to the odds makers. We've got the Red Sox at minus 105. The Blue Jays at minus 108. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. Boston is 41-37 on the road, a decent road team. Toronto 38-37 at home, but they seem like they've kind of given up on the season. Guys, I'm leaning towards the Red Sox at minus 105 in this game. I'm a little bit worried about the success that Bassett has had against them over their last couple of starts, but Houck has been decent from time to time recently, so I think we'll see him be all right out there. I am very worried about both of these bullpens, though, and that leads me to that over-under. We've got both teams showing significant trends towards the under coming into this game, and we've got a number of only 8 out there. Boston 41-33-4 to the over on the road, and we see Toronto is 42-31-2 to the over at home. I definitely like the over in this game as well, so I'm going to be siding with the Red Sox and the over. Will either of these make it into the pin comment? I'm not sure yet. It seems like a bit of a long shot. Really kind of an odd situation here. I do think the Red Sox are very likely to win this game, but yeah, it just feels a bit sketchy to be backing the Red Sox bullpen. Next up, guys, we've got the Seattle Mariners going on the road to take on the Houston Astros in a very exciting series starting off here. These two teams are battling it out there in the AL West. The Mariners desperately need these wins for the wild card race as well because they're 5 games back of Houston in the AL West, so they're running out of time to catch up there. The Mariners come into this game winners of 3 out of their last 4. They just won 2 out of 3 there at the Texas Rangers, so they've got to be pretty stoked about that. Obviously, losing that last game 6-5, pretty rough stuff there. Losing it in walk-off fashion. They're going to be hitting the ball to Bryce Miller, who's 11-8 this year with a 3.06 ERA. The dude has been pretty solid this season, and he was very good in his last start against the Yankees. 6 innings, 2 hits, only a single earned run allowed. He struck out 8. He did walk 4 in a game Seattle eventually lost 2-1 in extra innings. So yeah, has to feel pretty freaking bad to be a pitcher for the Mariners. You can go out there, have an amazing start, and you're probably still going to really struggle to get the win just because your team puts up no offense. The last time we saw Bryce Miller go up against the Astros was back in May, and he was very good. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs in a 3-2 win there for Seattle. So they'll be hoping they can get something similar from him in this one, and he's been throwing the ball very well over his last 3 starts. So all indications point to him having a good outing in this one. The Seattle bullpen as well has been very successful this season. A 3.70 bullpen ERA has them in the top 10 in the major leagues. So nothing to turn your nose up at there. This has been a very good pitching staff all season long. Absolutely no doubt about it. The future for this team with all these solid young arms is very bright, but the problem that they're facing right now is their lack of offense. They've scored 5, 8, and 3 runs over their last few games. That is insane offensive production for a team that has been horrible this year. 23rd in runs scored, 29th in batting average, 25th in slugging percentage. They're hitting 223 as a team. Like, this is not a very good offense. So we'll see if they can turn it around here or continue this kind of hot hitting streak they've got going on here as they take on the Astros. They really need to be in desperation mode right now. The Astros come into this game. They just won 3 out of 4 against the Angels. With that 5-game cushion there in the AL West, they can pretty much chill. We did see Alvarez exit the game early with a knee contusion, so it's very likely that he probably won't be playing in this game here on Monday, so that's definitely something to take into consideration. The Astros, though, are in very good shape right now. They're going to be hitting the ball to Hunter Brown, who's 11-8 on the year with a 3.57 ERA. His last start was against the San Diego Padres. Back on the 17th, it was very good. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs in that one in a 4-3 win there for the Astros, so they've got to feel good about that. The last time he took on the Seattle Mariners, guys, was way back in July, so I guess not that long ago, and he was very good. 4 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs allowed, no runs allowed, period. 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Very solid stuff there. So we'll see if he can back that up with another good start in this one. He did also have good starts against Seattle back in May. So very good stuff is what we're expecting for Hunter Brown in this game. So yeah, generally speaking, the pitching situation is looking great for both teams because Houston's bullpen as well is fantastic. I mean, they're 5th in the majors with a 3.60 bullpen ERA. Nothing wrong with that. Their offense has been looking better recently. Obviously, losing their best hitter potentially for this game would be a very big deal. They've scored 8, 10, 9, 3, and 0 runs over their last few games. Obviously, putting up big numbers against a team like the Angels, not really that impressive, but got to give them credit where credit is due, I suppose. If you're scoring runs in the major leagues, you are scoring runs. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Mariners at plus 136, the Astros at minus 162. We have an over-under in this one of 7.5. Seattle 34-43 on the road, not great road numbers. Houston 45-32 at home, so very good at home. In terms of the over-under here, guys, we got mixed trends. Seattle's actually a huge over team only when they're playing on the road, and Houston is an under team at home. They're 39-35-3 to the under at home. In general in this game, guys, I do like the Mariners at plus 136 if we do see Alvarez out of this game. That's a very, very key thing. If he's out, I like the Mariners. If he's not out, that could change a significant amount. I also like the under a lot if he's out in this game. So we're going to see if we can get some clarity on whether or not he's going to be in there. I will be putting this in the pinned comment with some sort of caveat there. Whether or not he's going to play is going to depend largely on whether we take this game. So yeah, kind of a wait and see spot. Need to know about his availability, but if he's out of there, Seattle and the under seem like the play. Last but not least, guys, we're looking at the San Francisco Giants going on the road to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Giants come into this game winners of 3 in a row. They just swept the Kansas City Royals, playing a spoiler there. The Giants are eliminated from playoff contention. They're going to be handing the ball in this one to young Hayden Birdsong, who's 4-5 on the year with a 4.74 ERA. His last 3 starts have all been very reasonable. A good start against Baltimore, maybe not great, but okay. A good start against Milwaukee and an excellent, but short start there against the Arizona Diamondbacks. So maybe not excellent. I guess 2 earned runs over 3 innings isn't very good. I take that back. But generally speaking, we felt okay with how he's thrown the ball down the stretch. He's about to get another test here against the Arizona team that he struggled against back on the 4th. Overall this season, he's a young guy. We'll see how he matures. He's had his ups, he's had his downs. So looking at the Giants bullpen this year, it's been pretty middle of the road, a 3.96 bullpen ERA. Really not going to be lighting the world on fire there, but they're okay. They're okay, but just okay. The offense for the Giants has been a bit better. I mean, they had a 9-run game against Kansas City, but 2, 9, and 2 runs. You don't really expect to go 3-0 in that series. But yeah, guys, it's a little bit too little, a little bit too late for the San Francisco Giants. I mean, on offense this year, they've been a bit below average, 17th in runs scored, 21st in on-base percentage. They've had some injuries and stuff like that, but generally speaking, they've just been a little bit inconsistent and just not quite good enough, especially up there at the plate. Not to say that their rotation and bullpen haven't had their issues as well. So just not quite good enough of a team to make it into the playoffs. And the Arizona Diamondbacks, definitely a team that comes into this game hoping to make the playoffs. They're currently tied with the New York Mets there in the National League wild card race. Very, very crazy stuff. Really coming down to the wire there for that last spot. Going to be interesting to see how that goes. Arizona in full-on desperation mode right now. They just won 3 out of 4 against the Milwaukee Brewers. They lost the last one in a heartbreaker, 10-9. They're going to be hitting the ball to Eduardo Rodriguez this game. He's 3-3 on the year with a 5.09 ERA. His last start was against the Colorado Rockies at Colorado, guys. 6 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 11 strikeouts. So elite stuff in that one. We'll see what he can do against the San Francisco Giants in this game. Obviously, they're not the hardest hitting team, but they've been playing well recently, trying to play spoiler, although, you know, scoring 2 runs in a game really isn't going to impress me that much. So expecting good stuff from Rodriguez in this game. The Arizona bullpen's been a big Achilles heel for them this season. A 4.42 bullpen ERA obviously leaves a lot to be desired. In terms of their offense, that's been the main strength of this team. This is probably the best offensive team in the major leagues right now. They've scored 9, 5, 7, 5, and 9 runs over their last few games. They're the top run scoring team in the majors. They're second in batting average, first in on base percentage, getting on base at a 337 clip, and they are second in slugging percentage. No bad things for me to say about this offense. This offense is absolutely elite. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we've got the Giants at plus 152, the Diamondbacks at minus 170. We got over-unders out there of 8.5 or 9. The Giants are only 36-41 on the road. Arizona is 42-33 at home. So very, very solid stuff there from Arizona. In terms of the over-under, both of these teams are big over teams. That we've got the best and second best teams to the over in this situation. I mean, the Giants 44-29-4 to the over on the road. They're the best road team to the over in the majors, and Arizona is 46-27-2 to the over at home, second best in the MLB to the over at home. Guys, we're going to go with over 8.5. There's still 8.5s out there. Definitely love over 8.5, and I also really like the Diamondbacks at minus 1.5. If you take a minus 1.5, you can get them at plus 120. I like that a lot. I think they're going to find a way to win this game comfortably. I do think probably the easier bet to cash in this one is the over, but there's a chance we honestly put both of these plays in the pinned comment. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.